Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk a little bit about muscle building on a ketogenic diet. And I've talked about this in the past where I don't necessarily think that a pure ketogenic diet is good for athletes or even good for younger people who are trying to build muscle. At the same time, I don't think that it's also great for people to be loading themselves up with carbs and constantly pumping insulin. So, what's the solution and where do we go with this? One of the things that I've used in the past that has worked really well with me is a cyclical ketogenic diet. And what this is you go through a period where you're doing a strict ketogenic diet and then you load up on carbs for a select period of time, right? This was originally put out by a couple of guys, Dan Duchene, who wrote a book called The Underground Body Opus. Dan was all those superstar bodybuilders you saw in the 1990s. Dan was coaching them at the time. He was very underground though, because Dan was also a very well-known steroids trafficker. But he wrote this book to talk about one of the methods he was using. He states in the book that he coached both natural and enhanced athletes. You can use your own judgment on that. But his technique was this. He had a diet where it was 90% fat and under 10% carbs and very low protein. And he would have you on this diet for about 5 days out of the week. And then after those 5 days, you would go into a carb loading period. I can't remember, I haven't read the book in a while, but during that carb loading period, you would load specific types of carbohydrates, and then you would go back onto that high fat diet. And that diet was supposed to give amazing results. I've never personally done Dan Duchene's Underground Body Opus diet, but I wanted to go through it just so you understood the idea behind cyclical ketosis. In my opinion, one of the things that would keep me from doing this or jumping into a diet like that right off the bat, sorry, my dog is barking like crazy right now. One of the things that would keep me from doing that right off the bat is if you're not adapted to burning ketones, if you're not fat adapted, loading up carbohydrates, getting knocked out of ketosis, or going through that period of time where you're going to go through that energy deficit, that on-ramp period, where you're not adapted, your brain is kind of confused as to what it should burn, whether it should be burning glucose or it should be burning ketones, and then knocking yourself out of that again and then going back into it, that's a painful experience. But if you've been adapted before, and you've adapted to ketosis, you're feeling good, you're feeling the amazing energy from ketosis, then it could be something that you might want to try. And the reason why you could try it is because once you're adapted, it's a lot easier to get back into ketosis. Your body somehow develops a memory for burning ketones. But if you've never burnt ketones before, primarily, then it'll be a lot harder for you. That type of diet would be a lot more difficult for you. Other ways of doing this is something that I've done and something that Ben Greenfield does a lot. And that is that I specifically time carbohydrates in my day. I don't eat a lot of carbs. I probably eat, sometimes, most of the time, less than 100 grams of carbs, sometimes up to 150 if I've had a lot of activity that day. Say I've trained and I've done some movement work in the afternoon and then I did a jiu-jitsu practice at night. What I'll do is after jiu-jitsu practice, I'll have a meal that is a bit carbohydrate heavy with some white rice or some potatoes or something like that. Some gluten-free carbs because I really want to take care of my digestive system. And so what I'll do is I'll follow a strict ketogenic diet most of the day, along with fasting for the first part of the day. So I really won't eat until after 11 a.m. And then I'll have my meals. which will mostly consist of, butter, coconut oil, maybe a little bit of grass-fed beef, lots of green leafy vegetables, maybe some nuts or some seeds that have been soaked. And then at nighttime after jiu-jitsu practice, pretty much the same thing, and I'll add in a cup and a half of white rice or something like that. And what that's done for me in the past, especially when I was really into bodybuilding, is it kept me very lean and helped me to build muscle at the same time. And I've actually, if you look back at a lot of my videos, I take you through that process and talk to you quite a bit about it. There's been times where I've done strict ketosis and maintained a lot of muscle. And this is the thing too, if you are fat adapted, one of the uses of a ketogenic diet is to keep cancer patients from wasting muscle. So if you're older like me, in your late 30s or maybe your early 40s or even your 50s, and you're just looking to maintain muscle mass, then a strict keto diet could be great for you, because you're reducing your insulin secretion, you're going to reduce your amounts of total body chronic inflammation, and you're going to feel great. If you're younger, then this type of cyclical ketosis, where you're including some carb loading days, or you're including a small period of time where you're loading carbs, that could be good for you. And for me personally, I like that small period of time at the end of the day. It's not pure ketosis. You're not staying in ketosis all the time. But if you've already been fat adapted and you've been fat adapted for a while, it might be a better option for you, because you're going to be able to leverage both sides. You'd be able to have both things at the same time. If you want more information on this, or you got any questions for me, if you want me to clarify it, let me know. info@warriorsoulapparel.com. And if you've got questions about what you should be eating on a ketogenic diet, or about keto adaptation in general, what we've done, me and my buddy Matt, who are putting together the Warrior Soul Keto Camp, we created a couple of free documents you can use. One is a free grocery list. It goes through strict ketogenic diet grocery list, a paleo keto grocery list, and autoimmune protocol. So a lot of you contact me, you have ulcerative colitis, you have Crohn's disease, because I have ulcerative colitis and I talk quite a bit about it, and you're wondering what to eat. Well, on this grocery list, we have an autoimmune protocol. So those of you who suffer from autoimmune diseases, you can actually check that out, and you can see exactly what types of foods you should be eating and what types of foods you should be avoiding. And then we also put together a ketogenic adaptation guide. And that guide is basically a short guide that will take you through the steps necessary to become fat adapted, so you can try something like this cyclical ketogenic diet after you've been adapted. All right, that's it. I will talk to you soon.